Hey babes, I'm Marisa, and this is the Balance in Bloom podcast, a safe space where we connect with Black women and celebrate how they are balancing life's demands while blooming into their full potential. Today, we are going to speak to the wonderful Bianca De Cristo. When she began her natural hair journey back in 2018, she quickly realized just how inextricably connected her crown was to all areas of her life. With a communal mission to promote self-care and healing among the Black, Indigenous, and POC communities, Bianca has since launched Bia, her line of lovingly handmade natural products. This is absolutely a relatable conversation for me personally, and I don't doubt some of you will be nodding along as you listen. So with that said, let's get into it. Hi Bianca, welcome to Balance in Bloom.
Hi, Marisa. Thank you for having me on Balance and Bloom.
Girl, I was just explaining to you off camera how I've been kind of just not tracking, but following your journey online. And I'm so inspired by you. And I really, really wanted to get a chance to speak with you. So I'm so happy that you were able to make the time today so we can delve into your story, because I feel like there are so many listeners who will be able to relate to your story. So I'm going to dive right in with a question. What does self-care mean to you, and how has it evolved throughout your hair journey and personal growth?
What does self-care mean to me? I think self-care to me is making sure that you are checking in with your wellness, checking in with yourself, making sure that you have time to rest, to turn within, and just make sure that you're doing well and keeping track to see if what needs improvements and what needs changes. When was the last time you had a bubble bath? When was the last time you spoke to a friend? When was the last time you had a fun, spontaneous off day? Like, I think that is what self-care to me means. And it's evolved throughout my hair care journey because it's taught me patience. It's taught me to slow down. It's taught me to block off the amount of time that is going to be required to incorporate my self care and my wash day. Like, I can't be rushing through things that are so important to my overall well being. So, yeah, my hair keeps me in check. I keep myself in check. And
Mhm.
it's all about, yeah, taking care.
On average, how long is a hair day for you? Is it like the full day?
All right. We're learning to embrace it. We're learning to embrace it. But yes, it can take a full day if I really want to just take my time with it, which I should be. But if I have to do like one of those, like, okay, we just got to do the best we can today, probably squeeze it
Mhm.
in 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
That-
That's actually very
That's a
impressive.
self-care express package.
Not the self-care express. I love it. Can you take us back to the moment in 2018? Because I was having a little read of your blog when you decided to transition from natural hair. What came up in terms of your emotions during that time?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for doing such thorough research and like reading into my
Girl,
story.
of
I
course.
really appreciate that. Yeah, so 2018, that was my 26th birthday. That was gonna be my last relaxer. So I relaxed my hair for my 26th birthday and I said, you know what? This is it. After this, I'm just going to embrace the new growth. And I think at first I was kind of super like excited and empowered, but when I started seeing the new growth come in and I was sticking to that decision of not going back to the chemicals, that's when I realized, oh, this is going to be a real journey. Like, this is going to take some
Hmm.
used to. And yeah, it did bring up the realness of the process, some anger and some resentment. Because I'm like, this shouldn't be making me feel so bad or anxious and trying to like figure out how I'm going to blend. And because I didn't do a big chop, I just let everything grow out. So it really
Hmm.
made me see how much of my worries were based off of the stereotypes of what I should be looking like as a biracial woman. Yeah.
Have you faced any unique challenges or experiences in navigating your hair journey and self-acceptance?
Yeah, I definitely feel like my experience is unique because I'm biracial, and I acknowledge that my experience with my natural hair does come with a bit of privilege. I feel like because I'm light skinned, it can be a little bit more digestible for others.
Mm,
I can accept this dose of blackness um,
right.
versus a woman who is dark skinned with afro hair. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely acknowledge that. And sometimes because I see both sides, I guess, like I can see where like
Mm-hmm.
the the intention is coming from other people who are kind of just coming around with bad intentions or with malice and
Mm-hmm.
underlying remarks with their comments and things like that.
Mm,
So it's difficult to navigate those moments, and I definitely try to advocate when I can for my whole Black community when I can. But there's also moments where my experience is also not fully accepted in the Black community, and I have to accept that and understand where that is coming from and make space for that and know that, you know, whoever feels that way is entitled to their experience. But for
mm,
me personally, it's been a little hard accepting my new identity because I feel like growing up,
mm,
especially like late 90s, early 2000s, like the the Black culture, like the aesthetic was prioritizing light skin girls with the long straight hair, and
mm-hmm.
subconsciously I was conditioned into trying to fit that image. And
Mm-hmm.
when I decided to go natural, I thought that I was going to have the acceptable light skin curls, which is like the softer Jerry curls. And then I realized, like, no, my texture is like full, like 4C. We got some 3C.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of things going on in here. And it's like, damn, I don't look like that stereotypical version of the digestible
Mm-hmm.
skin girl. And it's finding my power in that and being like, well, I'm still going to own it and I'm still going to own my blackness no matter how it shows up, how it decides to show up. And it decided to show up more melanated in my crown than on my skin, but it's okay because that is who I am and I embrace it. And I hope that my acceptance of however my hair decides to show up and promoting self-expression will encourage and empower other people, whether they're also biracial or they're dark skinned. It doesn't matter. The BIA community is for those who can relate, who can resonate. And I think making that space is really important. And I'm here to continue to do what I can.
I love it. That is a wonderful answer. What exactly was it about turning 26? And also, what is it, would you say, that made you angry at the time as your hair was growing?
Well, I think they say that your frontal cortex develops at 25. I think by 26, I was like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, what are we doing? I started feeling like this calling for change. And I think it's also entering
Mm,
like your late 20s and starting to figure out who you want to be, setting yourself up for it in your 30s. I think
mm-hmm.
part of that had to bring me back to my roots, quite literally. So I think
Yeah.
coming back to your roots and understanding the history and understanding the conditioning, that's what really made me angry because I think I was living in such
Mm-hmm.
a go with the flow, people pleaser, fit the molds, don't disturb the
Yeah.
piece, like just do what you got to do to fit in, to assimilate, to be the nice, proper girl. And then you
Mm.
are like, I don't know myself anymore. And I'm angry. I'm angry that I
Mm-hmm.
feel so suppressed and feel so guilty for whenever I did step out of the box. And it was kind of like
Mm-hmm.
my the start of my rebellion. My yeah, my healing journey definitely held a lot of space for sacred rage.
Mm, I love that sacred rage. That's a nice way of putting it. Would you say that you were influenced at all by the groups of people you were hanging around? Because what I gathered from reading was that maybe you were around more of your white friends when you were growing up. Was there a transition where you were around more of your black friends, or what inspired it? Was there something else that inspired the change?
Hmm. I think growing up, I was definitely more so raised by my Portuguese side of the family.
Mm,
But being a downtown Toronto shorty, like we're so multicultural, I definitely had a lot of
yeah.
like Black friends, mixed friends. But I did notice that, there was always like a push and pull in both communities. Either I was too Black for my white side, but not Black
Mm,
for the Black and Caribbean culture. So there was a little bit of that trying to identify and how do I
hmm.
balance between those.
The reason I'm asking this question is because I predominantly grew up in an area that had white children. In my primary school,
Mm.
you could single me out in that group.
Mhm,
Whereas in secondary school, high school, there were a lot more black people there. And that's when I started to be more expressive with my hair and not feel so bad about putting extensions in or doing a 1-2 weave. I wasn't quite confident enough to wear the wigs,
mhm,
but I definitely had like the colors in my hair and all of the things, the earrings, everything I think changed as a result of feeling more comfortable to just lean into that part of who I am. Whereas in primary school, I always felt like they were wanting to prod and be like, "Oh, how did you do that?" Oh, the stereotypical, "Can I touch that?" "Oh, it feels like sponge." Or do you know all of that nonsense? So
mhm.
I was just wondering whether you had that experience.
I definitely did have a little bit of that experience growing up. But like I said, it was quite multicultural in a way. And the area that I grew up was very predominantly Portuguese, Italian. But I feel like the Portuguese kind of call in the Brazilians, and the Brazilians kind of call in the
Mm,
Latinos, and the Latinos call in the Caribbeans. So there's this like
yes.
understanding, and like the jokes are still being made, but we're like throwing at each other because it's like an unusual way of connecting. You know,
Hmm.
was said more with love, but like, there's still that underlying of that immigrant mentality and everybody trying to assimilate and getting to know each other, but blatantly letting people know, like, I don't understand this. Like, do you want to let me know? Because in my country, we say it like this, or we do it like this.
Hmm. Hmm.
If- So I can't say I was the only culture person or ethnic person in my earlier environment, but enough to
Hmm.
feel like I didn't fully belong, and enough to know that when it comes to hair, that's kind of where the divider is.
Right.
Because the Brazilian girls with the softer texture or the straighter textured hair could braid their hair and play with their hair at recess, and you couldn't take my ponytail out. Like my mother took,
Mm-mm.
like, you know what I mean, an hour to get this in. We're not touching it. Like, so those nuances were kind of internalized within me. I was able to
Right.
tell when I couldn't participate in something or when I was different. So I think that's just something just through experience. But in terms of when I was ready to go natural, I think
Hmm.
my surrounding and my group of friends at that time definitely made me feel like I just needed an overall change at that time. So it was
Yeah.
the relationship I was in, but also the group of friends that I was hanging out with. And it was also the places I was going and what I was holding importance on. And because I come from a fashion
Hmm.
background, aesthetics has always been a thing that's been so high value for me. Like, do I look good?
Hmm.
Do I fit the picture? Is this cool enough? Is
Hmm.
this trendy enough? Is it fitting well? Like, there's just so much pressure to uphold yourself in this image that you want to be seen as a stylist. You have to always have a fresh outfit on. Like, being worried to repeat your outfit. Is your makeup slayed? And is your hair laid? And all this kind of
Hmm.
stuff. When I was going through that awakening, that's when I was like, I don't care about any of this anymore. Like, I'm letting
Mm.
go the way that it needs to. It's going to grow and be what it needs to look like. This also transitioned into pandemic time. So I feel like everybody kind of
Hmm.
stopped wearing outfits unless they were like creating
Yeah.
content. Like everybody else was just the athleisure was it. Like we were cozy vibes in.
Yes.
So that kind of helped a little bit, but yeah, in terms of doing my makeup and doing my hair up, unless I genuinely felt like I wanted to do that for myself that day or I was going somewhere that I wanted to show up in a certain way, like yeah, I would do it for myself, but I wasn't
Hmm.
doing the whole 9 yards just on a regular day, or just to look a certain way when I'm walking down the street so I can be attractive and meet a mate and fit the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just not doing that anymore. I'm not doing anything to please anybody but
Yeah,
myself.
I love that. And I feel like at some point, at one point or another, we hopefully all get to that stage where it's just like, do you know what? I'm me.
Hmm.
Kind of take it or leave it. I'm not perfect. I've got things to work on, all of that good stuff. Like we're always evolving, we're always growing. But at the core, this is who I am. And that way, I hate the cliche phrase of like, you attract your tribe, but it's so true. Like you literally attract the people who are meant for you when you show up as yourself. And I'm so happy that you had that moment. And like it almost sounded like COVID happening at the time that it did was almost helpful. Not that we're saying it was a good thing, but it was almost helpful for this kind of growth journey. And speaking of that, from my understanding, you were able to, where some people were having literal COVID babies, you had a business baby. And I believe that's where Bia was born. So I want to ask you some questions about that and let the people know she's a whole entrepreneur, guys. She's out here business baddie. So, building a brand like Bia takes resilience and vision. How do you navigate the balance between your personal wellness practices and the demands of entrepreneurship? And do you still have a full-time job at this time? Because if so, how are you juggling that as well?
Okay. Okay. So it's been quite the journey. Definitely, Bia was conceived like 2019, but she really came into her aliveness in 2020. And I was kind of worried to launch a business in 2020, but everybody kind of was launching their businesses. And I'm like, well, I've been thinking about this one for a minute. So I think, at that time I wasn't working. So I had the time and energy to fully pour into the conception of Bia and bring her to life. And I'm really happy that I did, because I feel like you're never going to be fully ready to start, and you just have to do it with the fear, and you just have to push through. And I think at that time I was like, well, everything is uncertain. So what do I have to lose right now? I'm seeing what,
Mm-hmm.
the economy could turn into for any big business. So it's like no one's safe, no matter how big or small. Like if something's meant to be successful and push forward, it's going to. You just have to trust the process and
Mm-hmm.
keep going. And I had to navigate a lot of other transitional things in life at that time and over the past few years, starting the business, but also going through my hair transition and learning how I wanted to show up in this new version of myself, because of course I want to embrace my natural state, but I do at the end of the day love to dress up, and I do still love fashion. So it's finding that balance between both. And then moving into my 30s, living on my own.
Mm-hmm.
There was just so many things. And there has been moments where I was working, moments where I thankfully was able to have a break. But right now I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing both. And
Mm-hmm.
there's just been a foundation set up for myself. So I'm glad that I had the time to do that. So now I feel like
Mm-hmm.
balancing both is a little bit easier than when it was at the beginning, because there wasn't
Mm-hmm.
a foundation set just yet. There weren't systems in place.
Mm-hmm.
Now that there are, and I'm more grounded in my own personal wellness practices, like
Mm-hmm.
my morning routine is a must, my evening routine is a must. It does change depending on my schedule, but whatever self care day it is for me, whether it's a Sunday or not a Sunday, that day is going to be what I need
Right.
to replenish myself. And yeah, it's just finding the balance between both and being grateful that my business is rooted in the philosophy of wellness and being your truest raw
Mm-hmm.
self, because it's going to remind me, it's going to be the mirror that I need to do that for
Yeah.
myself first in order to show up in that light for others.
Mm-hmm. That is so relatable because, especially as I'm always harping on about balance and all of the things, and then there are some times when I'm like, hold on a minute, Marisa, at what point are you not feeling out of sorts? Do you know what I mean? And I have to really just take stock of everything that I'm saying and internalize it. I know I'm not going to get it right all of the time or, be perfect all of the time. And I will say I'm a recovering perfectionist. So that's definitely something I'm always pushing through because I know that I can't get it right all the time. But No, that was a very relatable thing that you just said there. I didn't actually ask you just yet how it all got started. How did you start mixing your own things together and having it produce results? Because, girl, your hair is goals. Okay.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're learning to work with her and embracing however she wants to show up. Every day is like a little bit different, and learning to
Mm-hmm.
just let her do her thing. How did it all start? So I definitely, like I said, was kind of being pushed into this change and wanting to go natural for a while, but I think it definitely hit hard when I found a bald spot. And I was
Mm.
like, why do I have a bald spot on my head? And it just came out of nowhere
Ah.
and it was so frightening. And I got it checked out and they gave me the runaround of it being like an autoimmune
Okay.
disease.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of did my own research and kind of started looking into what are autoimmune diseases, what triggers them, and what it really means. And of course, it could be different for each person. And sometimes it's based off of stressors. So it could be external
Mm.
stressors or internal stressors. And I think I had come to my wits' end of pretending to be this person or keeping up with this pressure of my image, and also like
Mm-hmm.
externally the chemicals that I was literally placing on my scalp every few
Mm-hmm.
months, because Lord knows if I had an inch of new growth, I was like, oh, gotta get that new appointment, gotta get that appointment in, like
Damn.
gotta get this down. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing that my scalp was irritated, knowing that scabs were happening, knowing that burns were happening, and still pushing through the
Mm-hmm.
process because beauty is pain. Come on now. Come on now. Hmm. I was like, okay,
That's a no.
yeah, that was the wake up call that I really needed. And I'm just like, I'm literally putting my health and my actual beauty at risk with all of this pressure that I'm living in and all of these things that I'm putting on my scalp and pushing and pulling with that flat iron every morning. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, how do you grow your hair back? That was literally what I started Googling and researching and trying to figure out natural remedies and natural ways and learning more about alopecia areata. And luckily, I stumbled upon, you know, oils and herbs and essential oils and things like that that you could be using. And it started off with me experimenting with castor oil and peppermint. And I would create a really high dose. And I would apply that and reapply that throughout the day, at least 3 times a day, every day
Mm-hmm.
for the first month or so. And then I actually started seeing results. So
Wow.
I was like, okay, there's like these little baby hairs coming in, and I'm like, we're back in business. Okay, there's hope. There's hope. So, it kind of just evolved into me wanting to share it with others. And I was like, if I could do
Mm-hmm.
this for myself, then maybe other women would want to also use this hair oil. And I was like getting compliments about how my hair would smell, or like just how healthy it was looking and things like that. Like people were just genuinely interested. So I was like, yeah, I feel like this could be the start of a brand that, of course, is product focused because we got to generate those dollars, but at the same time, genuinely build a community of people who want to invest in their well being, who want to make better life choices for themselves and
Mm-hmm.
those around them, right? And it starts with that reflection within, that work within, and then that external commitment to doing that for yourself and taking that time
Mm-hmm.
and showing up as yourself and embracing your hair however she wants to express herself that day and that makes you beautifully and uniquely you. So,
Yeah, and there's a few things that I want to pull out. The first thing about your body was like, well, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to show you.
mm,
That is a whole thing. Like, I feel so many people will be able to relate to that when you kind of keep pushing through with something, whether it's, throwing the relaxers on your hair, or I don't know, you're going at something maybe you should probably have put a stop to, and then your body's like, okay, I'll put a stop to it for you. How about that? And the second thing is more of a question I wanted to ask. Were you doing anything or using any natural products and all of that before you started your hair journey? And since starting your hair journey, have you gone down the natural route of basically everything now? Because I feel like that can also be a transition. I know I've certainly gone down that route. I can't pinpoint exactly when that happened, but I actively look for, natural or herbal remedies. It's very intentional.
So I think there's always been this curiosity of herbalism from myself and even culturally. Like, I feel like, if you have a symptom, there's a tea for that. So learning
Right.
learning that we can find real medicine in Mother Nature and the medicine has already been given to
Mm-hmm.
us. That's always piqued my interest. I've always been interested in that for sure. So I think it was just a natural way of like, if there are teas, then there are oils, there are tinctures, there are things that come from these plants that can be up
Mm-hmm.
to the actual skin and body. So I've always been curious about those kind of things and implement it as best as I can in my
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle. Even when I was relaxing my hair, I was very big on doing hair masks that were
Mm-hmm.
avocados and olive oil and that kind of stuff. Like I've always
Yeah.
kind of for
Yeah.
that. So I think it was a natural progression for sure. And now in my current life, the lifestyle that I'm currently working on maintaining definitely is more natural. Like as many products that I can use that I know that are safe, that are natural is what I'm going to go for. Living a cleaner lifestyle for sure is high priority for
Mm-hmm.
me. And though it's hard because of resources and accessibility and things like that, I do my
Mm-hmm.
best, right? You can't eliminate everything, but
No.
the more you can, it just starts becoming habitual. It's just starts becoming more instinctual to you as well. Like you just know to steer away from certain things and to just gravitate toward others. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like, yeah, as many natural remedies that I can maintain, trying to live as plant-based as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just starts trickling into all the areas of your life. So it's a slow progression
Mm-hmm.
for sure. It's not easy, but it's something that I'm doing and continually look forward to keeping up with.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. And something you just said, it's at the start of one of my other questions. Oh, here it is. You've spoken about slow progress still being progress.
Mm.
How has this mindset helped you in your business and personal life, especially during challenging moments? And it doesn't need to specifically be in relation to your hair journey, just challenging moments in general.
See, the thing is, it does come back to my hair though, because that's the
True.
that's the one, I guess, metaphor or visual tool that I have to remind me. And I
Mm.
remember feeling like, there wasn't external change happening in my life. I felt very stuck. I was kind of in like my dark soul moment, like the dark night of the soul moment where you're kind of
I know the one.
you're yeah.
A little tower moment, and then, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Get it.
I get you, girl.
So, it was one of those moments where I felt like I couldn't see a light. And I remember just being like, okay, well, I can't do anything right now. But what I can do is take some time to oil my scalp and just take my hair down from these braids and just like wrap my hair up. And, so I was kind of just like, okay, let me just do some hair care. And in that moment, I had noticed the growth that was happening. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, I kind of never stopped to look at my hair and see how much growth has happened. And it was one of those moments through the hair journey where you could see it was like past the halfway point. I'm cutting these ends off real soon. Like I'm going to be in
Mm-hmm.
my full curl pattern real soon. And with doing all of the research on hair and hair oils and hair follicles, like our hair is technically always growing underneath our scalp. We don't see it obviously, but the process of it, even like a plant underneath the soil. It's always growing,
Mm-hmm.
spreading, even if you can't see the sprout yet. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
always life and progress happening, no matter how minimal it is, no matter how slowly it's happening, it is happening. It's just
Mm-hmm.
by divine creation, by divine nature. So you don't have to worry about not seeing something yet, not feeling like it yet, or, you just need to trust that it is happening. And
Mm-hmm.
it just allows you to surrender to the higher powers. Like, you just know that there's something so much bigger, and that you're just part of the universal ecosystem, and you just need to relax.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as big and as serious as your little human self feels like it is right now. Like, if you bring it to the macro spiritual realm, you'll know that you're just fine. Like, you are protected, divinely guided, doing exactly what you need to do in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to take a little breather, just rest, just enjoy this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
I'm following and I'm nodding along. And even when you did your inhale, I was like inhaling and exhaling, like it was a little meditation you were giving there. So, no, I am completely following along with you. And I agree with you. And I love that you use the metaphor of a seed and its kind of roots that we can't actually see. It's very much tied to not only this concept of blooming and things. Blooming is obviously what we can see, but before that blooming happens, it's like there's so much taking place underneath that. And I think someone somewhere needs to hear that message, because I personally need to hear it often. Sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, universe, or sometimes I'm like, Jesus, what's going on? You have me out here doing all of these things. Your girl's just being obedient, okay? You told me that I should be doing this, so I'm doing it. I'm looking around, what exactly is happening? you know? But it's like, I've never been that person who necessarily needs to see something to believe it. But I find in moments of desperation, that's when I'm like looking for it. Okay, so where is it then? And so I think just going back to that concept that yes, it's also, the hair always growing underneath our scalp, the roots kind of taking root underneath the soil. There is always life, there is always movement, there is always something happening. Progress being slow is still progress. And I just think that's a really great message to pull through here, because I just know that someone somewhere listening is feeling potentially stuck or stagnant. And I just want them to know that that's definitely not the case. We're always in motion. The world is always spinning. Do you know what I mean? So hold on, guys. You are moving towards whatever you need to move towards. Thank you for bringing that out there. Did you find community or support during your transition to natural hair, online or in person? Was it an even balance, or was this all just coming from yourself? Like, this is what I'm doing, support or not?
It's definitely been more so online at first. 2018 was the last time I relaxed my hair, but it was probably around 2019-ish that I kind of started seeing the growth. My birthday's late in the year, so it was November 2018. So I feel like 2019 was the transition period, and 2020 is when I was kind of in the thick of it, like literally. Like, the afro was out, and it was my first time seeing myself in the mirror with this different hair and not being able
Mm-hmm.
to recognize myself. So I had to start finding people who looked like me. And the easiest way to do so was online through YouTube. Honestly, shout out the natural hair girlies on YouTube, because they are like Brie Hall,
Yeah.
especially. Shout out to Brie Hall, because she showed me how textured Afro hair could be so versatile and so beautiful, and just really inspired me to show me that there are different hairstyles that I could achieve with this texture that I actually wouldn't have been able to achieve with my relaxed hair. So, yeah, I definitely think it started there, and then just naturally in real life started attracting, a new friend group, a new
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood that was more in alignment. So I'm really grateful for the close besties that I have in my life right now. They are natural girlies. And it's funny because one of them is just very naturally styled. She probably gets braids done like once or twice a year, but other than that, her natural curls are out. And then my other bestie, she's
Oh, wow.
more like the diva. She's got to switch it up. She's in her wig. She's doing her natural curls popping. Like, she's doing it all. And it's like, they show me that I could look beautiful, that I could be beautiful in any way that I choose to show up and style my hair. And just being able to share the hair journey with other Black women is just like something that was very healing for me. And I'm so grateful to have that community. So, yeah, definitely started online, but I've been blessed enough to find that connection in real life too.
And you know what's so funny that it's like a full circle moment is what Bree Hall was to you is probably what you are to people who are watching you, which is just so wonderful. Like, truly, though, you're such an inspo. And I want the people, listen, I don't know whether you will hopefully be following by the end of this or during this, but this woman's hair is in right now. And look how big and beautiful it is. If she takes it out, you're gonna be blown away. I'm not even joking. This morning, I was showing my sister your Instagram. I was like, look at this woman's hair, please. I just can't. I just can't. You are massive inspo, okay? And I love the promotion of natural, natural, natural. Even in a recent conversation I was having, I think it's up now already. It is up about natural beauty just in general. And it may have sounded counterintuitive coming from a makeup artist, but she was definitely pushing like natural beauty. We're not trying to put the makeup on so that we can morph into someone else. It's how about we accentuate what we already have. And I feel like the same applies here. Use what the good Lord gave you because it's beautiful.
Thank you so much for the kind words. Like, that really means a lot. And I really do hope that somebody could be inspired. So, yeah, thank you.
No worries. You are very inspiring. And I don't know, I feel like people do tell you, but I want to tell you again, you are an inspiration for sure.
Thank you.
What tea is that you're drinking?
It's actually coffee.
Oh, it's
Not me trying to
okay.
pull out my British accent. Sorry.
I'm so done. Wait, say it again.
I was like, it's actually coffee. It's okay. You can laugh at
So
me.
funny.
You can laugh at me. It's all good, girl. Um,
It was a great attempt.
No, honestly, your accent is beautiful and you're like so gorgeous.
Thank you.
Really? You chose
Thank
Toronto?
you.
Like, damn, girl, we lucky to have you. We really lucky to have you. Like, you blessed
Stop
in
it.
the city.
Stop.
Uh-uh.
So the question that I think I'm going to ask you now, because you seem to be a very spiritual woman, there's a sacredness to Black hair care rituals. Do you feel that creating and using your products is a form of self-healing or even ancestral connection?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think that ancestral wisdom to turn to natural herbs and remedies is something that just comes through and you find yourself returning to that. And I think that even with our hair, there's just a sacredness in the oils that we use and the butters that we use, the time that it takes, that generational connection of doing your niece's hair, or like for me it's like my nieces, like I really
Mm.
enjoy seeing them talk about their hair and looking up to my hair and having these questions and just being proud to walk around with me. And like, my fro does spark conversations in public. So when my niece is just like, damn, I need to wear my hair out more so that people can talk to me, I'm just like,
That is so cute, though. I love it. She's taking something positive from it.
So it is something that creates a sense of pride when you do share it in a
Mhm.
beautiful way, and when you show that taking care of it is like honoring yourself, honoring your crown. I think that is just something super sacred that just flows and will hopefully multiply and magnify itself throughout the community for sure.
Hmm. I'm so I know I just said it, but hearing that your niece pulls such positivity from the comments and what you attract out when you're outside, it's just because if we just take it back, I don't know, 50 years,
Mm.
that wouldn't be the same conversation that's taking place. That niece would be like, damn, get me the hot comb. I need to make my hair straight. I need to this, I need to that. And now she's looking at you like, oh my gosh, my auntie, I want to be like her, natural like her. Like that's insane. 50 years is not a large span of time. when you think about it.
Mhm.
So that is just so beautiful to hear. You know, God bless her.
Yeah.
Where do you see Bia in the next few years, and how do you hope it continues to impact the wellness space for Black women?
Where do I see Bia in the next few years? Well, I definitely feel like there's going to be a physical space for Bia. I think,
Oh,
let's manifest that.
I love that.
Here's a sprinkle. Um, yeah, I do see there being a physical space, and um I feel like Bia can definitely transition into a lifestyle brand. I feel like there's just a lot of things that I want to bring to the community that definitely starts with, yourself and your hair care and your self-care. But I want to definitely expand into other things. Like as a yoga instructor, I just feel like everything is everything. And when you're journeying
Hmm.
through this thing called life, you start seeing how these cycles repeat themselves, how there's similarities, how one thing can also show you and open up things about another thing in your life. And I think that's what meditation and yoga and stillness and surrender
Hmm.
has all brought to me. And in doing that, it's obviously birthed the whole product collection, but how do I bring this into a physical space where we could bring it all together and you can get that hair talk with your sisters, but also pick up the products for when you're going home, but also come back for some yoga, come back for whatever other community events that I can transform the space into. So I definitely think that it's going to grow into a beautiful, beautiful thing for everyone to
Mm.
be a part of and experience. Yeah.
That is so wonderful. And I can definitely see that being your future and just like the holistic nature of it all. I'm even thinking bringing in your fashion background and like maybe some attire or I don't know, like blankets, like, things that just complement the whole wellness
Mhm.
aspect of what you're building. I have one more question. In fact, I've got two more questions. What's been the most rewarding part of building out your brand, and what do you hope your customers take away from your products and your story? Outside of what we've already spoken about, because we want them to feel that self love and that kind of confidence and just, I guess, inspired by how much you're committed to your natural beauty to embody it themselves. But is there anything outside of that?
So I feel like the most rewarding part has definitely been just just feeling the connection with the community that has gravitated towards me, right? Because I kind of just started off with like, I'm going to share my story and I'm not really sure where this is going to go, but I know that I'm being called to put this forward. So let's just see where it goes. And it's
Mm-hmm.
been really rewarding to see the people that I do align with, the people who do understand, the people who want to share their stories in return. Having repeat customers has been mind blowing. Like, I think that
Right?
I was like, so you purchased it and you liked it so much so that you
Right.
came back from, okay, okay, okay.
The best feeling ever. I get it, girl.
Like, I definitely am doing something right, and people do see the value in
Yes.
it. And I think that's the most rewarding part. And it definitely makes me want to keep going. So, whether it's inspiring people to take the time for self care or inspiring people to be more cautious about what they're putting on their bodies or just starting this curiosity into wellness practices and well being in general. And how can I even start? Like, where does it start? And it's just like, yeah, from within. But here are some tools,
Hmm.
you know?
It's like you're committed to your calling at this point. That's what it's sounding like to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I guess accepting the
Hmm.
calling, because sometimes it takes time to accept it because you're trying to find
Girl.
the courage. But it's like,
Hmm.
okay, it's being well received. They want me to keep on going. I feel called to keep on going. This feels right. Okay, let's do it. I'm a little nervous, but
Yeah.
gotta keep going.
Let's go. Let's just keep it going. And like sometimes I feel there are times when we're called to do something, but we feel like we should be doing something else, or maybe we feel like we know better. And I think that happens before we've had that moment where we surrender, or we're willing to, I don't know, fall more into a receptive energy to something that may not look the way or is packaged the way we think it would be or should be, but it actually is the thing that we could and should be doing or need to be doing in order to feel that fulfillment. So, congratulations on answering the call, because this is definitely a calling for you. And I was talking to a friend the other day. I saw something on Instagram and it said, you'll know when it's a calling when it's basically expanding other people.
Mm,
It's not just something that's, I guess, a passion project for yourself, which is also okay. But when you're called to do something from a higher being, a higher power, it usually helps others and it usually expands others. And that's definitely what's taking place here. So, girl, please don't stop. We need you.
thank you.
We want you. Final thoughts. If you could share one piece of advice with anyone listening in the midst of navigating their own journey, whether it's their hair journey, their self care journey, entrepreneurship, self love, what would it be? What one piece of advice would you give to them?
Hmm. Well, I guess kind of just adding to the calling, right? If you are feeling like
Mm.
you are called to do something or you have this idea and maybe you've made excuses as to why you can't do it, but the idea still lingers and it keeps coming back, I encourage you to take that first step. Or whether you're in the middle of it and you're seeing no results or you're feeling like you're stuck, whether you need to take a moment to sit in where you're at and see if you can hear any answers, or if you feel like you need to pivot, just know that if you give yourself the time to intuitively sit with it, you're going to know what it is. And even if it sounds weird or it's scary or you don't know how you're even going to start, you do know the answer because it's what's pushing you. And you need to just trust that the tools are going to show up as you start taking those steps. The path won't light up until you put your first foot down, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the rest will
Mm-hmm.
follow. So I would say brighter days will definitely come. And even if it doesn't make sense in the moment, or you're feeling so exhausted, or you can't see the positive, if it's still something that feels deep down like that's your true desire, it's because you're meant to go through this. The hardship that you're feeling through right now is really just strengthening you, opening up your capacity for the greater things that are about to come. So, yeah, keep going.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so wonderful. And last thing, where can the people find you online?
Yes. Okay. So you could find Bia at shopbia.ca. That is online on Instagram. And then also our website is also shopbia.ca. Get you some goodies and some inspo. And then also for myself, you could follow me at Bia X Cristo. And that is my Instagram handle. I also try to sprinkle in some wellness inspo in there for you all. So, yeah, if you liked what you've heard, you're gonna just like the vibe in both spaces. Come on over.
Please go and follow. You will be inspired. It's giving aesthetic. She recently did this series. I can't remember what it was called, but it was so wonderful. There were, was it 5 parts to it, six
Um,
parts to it?
it had a few, I think it was like 4 parts. It's called Hair Story. So be a Hair Story series. And we
Please
had a little hair
check
talk,
it out.
and it was, yeah, really, really great talk.
Thank you again for, sharing the time with me and sharing all of your journey with me. I really hope and think people will take something from it, and hopefully we speak soon.
Of course. Thank you so much, Marissa. I had such a lovely time chatting with you and getting to share my
Yay.
story. Thank you for this amazing space, and I look forward to
No worries.
tuning into more.
Thank you, girl. Bye bye.
Bye.